tuning in. In today's vlog, I will be sharing with you all how our journey to stroke recovery started. To start with, it's been 7 years, and I do remember that T had stroke on a Friday evening. I know that he did not work on that day because he went shopping for a couple of, I think, new shirts, new clothes, pairs of jeans, and sneakers because he wanted to celebrate his weight loss. And actually, in 2 days, October 23rd, is also our 12th wedding anniversary. So before I got home, I do remember texting him that I'm just going to buy rotisserie chicken for dinner because we kind of treat Fridays as a chill night for both of us. So I usually don't cook, and we sometimes buy takeout food, either pizza, Chinese food. And that day or that night, I texted him if it's okay that I will just buy rotisserie chicken. And he gave the thumbs up. So that's what I had when I got home. So as he was eating, I remember him telling me that one of our friends is dropping by in our house that night to pick up her laptop because I think that he helped our friend fix her laptop. I wrote a vlog about it, so I'm going to read it. I hope you don't mind me reading it. This is how I wrote this vlog. So I'm now on the couch getting ready to pull the throw blanket over me and unwind with my favorite show. And I asked, "What did you say?" He replied, but this time he sounded more strange and I thought his speech seemed slurred. I hastily got up and leaped to the dining room. Because our house is just small, so a few steps from from the living room to the dining room. It doesn't take that much to get to the other room. So I asked him again. This time, my face was close to him as possible. He pushed me away with his left hand. "Yeah, I'm fine. What are you doing? Leave me alone." As he talked, the right side of his mouth is no longer moving. It's like it's not moving at all. So I told him he's really freaking me out, and if he's making a joke or just being a prankster, he needs to stop. And he said, "I'm fine. I'm not doing anything. I'm just trying to eat my salad." I immediately grabbed my phone and I told him I'm going to call 911. And he was instantly upset. He didn't want me to call 911. He said, "Why are you calling 911? So don't call 911." So what I did, I called Shirley, his sister, and as I talked to Shirley, she heard T said something and she said he sounded like he's having a stroke. There was panic and confusion on Tashi's face as he watched me dial 911. I immediately requested for an ambulance as soon as I heard the operator's voice on the other line. Trying to stay focused and calm, I gave the operator an accurate and detailed description of what was happening. Tashi was still trying to stop me from talking to the 911 operator. I told her I needed to hang up because Tashi is attempting to get up and he might fall. As soon as he got up, his right leg caved in. Immediately, I put my phone on the table, and fortunately, I was able to shield him from hitting his head against our dining table. He kept struggling to get up, but he couldn't. I hugged him and begged him to be still so I can protect his head from hitting the wall, table, or any sharp corners. Luckily for us, the fire department is a mile away from our house, and within 5 minutes, the first responders were on our driveway. I remember there were 4 paramedics who came into the house, and 2 of them immediately attended to tea. And another one asked me to go to the kitchen with him because he saw there were bottles of supplements and vitamins on our kitchen shelf, and he asked me if tea smoked, if tea took drugs, and even drank alcohol. And one of the paramedics also noticed the blood pressure monitor on our kitchen or on our dining table, and they asked who that blood pressure monitor was for. And I told them T had just bought it a couple of weeks ago, been under a lot of stress because his dad just passed away. The paramedics moved T to the ambulance and they told me they will transport him to the hospital. And they handed me a piece of paper with the name of the hospital where they're taking T. So I stayed behind to feed our pets and talk to a neighbor just in case I won't be able to come home soon. And his sister Shirley just arrived in our house and I requested if she could take me to the hospital, which she did. And on the way to the hospital, I started calling friends and I started calling my family to inform them about what happened. And I do remember asking because my mom just also passed away and my dad was still, mourning for my mom. And so I remember specifically telling my sister, do not tell dad because I don't want him to worry. And if anything happens to him, then I won't be able to attend to him because I have to be with T as well. T was basically alone when he got to the hospital and received medical attention. I'm very, very grateful to the paramedics, although I never got to thank all of them personally. When I got there, he was already in the ER. A nurse was actually attending to him already, and T was alert. He was awake when I got there, and I do remember the nurse was actually, what do you call that? Not really confused, but he told me that was the first time he've seen an ER stroke survivor patient who can still raise their leg because whenever they asked T to raise his leg, he could still do it. When the ER doctor came in, she told me that we actually did good because T made it to the hospital, I think within the 20 minutes to 1 hour time frame for them to be able to administer TPA. She could not give me any prognosis yet, but they're doing everything to give him the best treatment. My father in law's friend, his neighbor just across the street, arrived with his wife and some of our good friends also, whom I called and texted while I was on the way to the ER, texted back that they are also coming to be there and, assist me. I mentioned earlier that back in 2019, I started a blog, the same website name, This Journey to Stroke Recovery. And the reason why I stopped doing it is every time I would try to go back to all the things that has happened and what we had been doing, I still get emotional sometimes. Even though I was just reading, I still felt the emotion of it. Anyway, moving on. While waiting for T's friends to arrive, I requested if I can accompany T while they conduct his lab tests, the CAT scan. They allowed me, but I could not go inside, of course, because of safety reasons. And so I stayed outside. It took a while. It wasn't really quick. Probably 20, 30 minutes. I was alone in the hallway and was my goodness, it was so dark. I think it was on the lower level of the hospital. I kind of had time to reflect, and so the first thing that I could think about was how grateful I was that we were able to rush to the hospital and he was given the medication that he needed and they're trying to make him stable. They transferred T to the ICU. That was around 1 o'clock. I haven't talked to any doctors yet except for the ER doctor and the friends who made it to the hospital to be there and just offer comfort. I was just so grateful. I'm alone here. Technically, I'm alone here in the US. I don't have family here. My only family is T and his family, and the people who were with us that night were his friends and his dad's neighbor. So it was a relief that they were there to offer comfort and help me with whatever I needed. Then I was able to call T's manager and inform him of what happened. And I was also able to then call my manager. So I'm just really grateful because both of them told me to not worry about work and to keep them posted. But actually, I have no idea what's going on. I was just, I guess you can call it like, I'm just going with the flow at the time, listening to what the doctors and nurses were telling me, which wasn't very much. When T was settled, he fell asleep, and friends actually were allowed to go to the ICU room. So each of them were able to visit T at the ICU before they left us in the evening. And then the following day, a lot of friends who have learned about what happened to T started calling me, started texting me, and honestly, I felt so overwhelmed with the love and the outpouring of support that came from these friends. And being alone here in the US, not having a family of my own, and although my two closest friends, they called me, and it was a relief hearing their voices. And this is making me cry again, so I better stop, I guess, and until the next until the next vlog. My apologies for people who are not religious and who are not, who don't believe in God, but I always say this, that I'm grateful to the blessings of the Lord, that without him guiding me and T from the day he had stroke up to this moment, I don't know where we would be. So everything is happening, I believe, according to his grace and according to his compassion and according to his love for us. And I will not call myself as a very religious person, but I'm grateful that every time I pray, I may not get the exact answer I was praying for or I was hoping for. I'm grateful that God always answers my prayers, our prayers, and the friends, co-workers' prayers for us, because I have so much testimony about God's guidance and protection that He has showered upon us on this journey. So I'm really, really grateful that even though we haven't have the result of what we wanted, but I'm grateful that we are here and we're able to share our story with other stroke survivors and other caregivers like me. So stay tuned for more, and thank you so much, and I hope to see you again.